What is up, guys? Troy here, and today is Sunday, which means it's time for another episode of the weekly gaming news roundup. Now, this week is going to be a little bit different. It's going to be a little bit more console specific than it usually is. So, if you're primarily a console gamer, then this week's gaming round of gaming news might definitely appeal to you. A little note about the gameplay you're watching: it's Karkand, infantry only, Conquest Assault, playing on the Russian side. I played this round about 3 or 4 weeks ago, so yeah, it is a little bit old, but it was a decent and fun round, and I needed to get rid of it as soon as possible. It's just sitting there on my hard drive, so, I decided to use it and get it out of the way. I also like to take this time to apologize for not being able to stick to my schedule that I had laid out a few weeks ago. I know I missed a few uploads with both the Winning Ways series and the My Thoughts series, but I've been really busy this past week. I do have other commitments, like other hobbies, and I had to attend a few family functions the past couple weeks. But I will definitely be back on track with next week's Battlefield My Thoughts and the Winning Ways. I already have them filmed, recorded. I just need to upload. So let's get on with this week's gaming news. Now, the first story is concerning rumors around that Google might be working on an Android-based gaming console. Now, I know these are only rumors at this point, but this would certainly definitely be a game changer in the standard two-company console market that we've definitely been familiar with over the past decade and a half at least, maybe longer. Over the last year, we've heard rumors of both Valve, Apple, wanting to come out with their own gaming consoles, and it certainly seems like Google is looking to preempt any attempts at Apple coming out with a console. It is interesting because a lot of people don't realize that Apple, despite all the inroads that they've made in, say, like the mobile gaming market with the iPad and the iPhones, they've already in their history released a console way back in 1996 with the Apple Pippin, which failed miserably. It was certainly considered one of the most worst console launches and console failures in the history of console gaming. Whatever happens over the next year to 2 or 3 years with either Valve, Google, or Apple coming out with whatever console they want to kind of shake up the market, it's certainly going to be entertaining to watch, and I look forward to it. More competition equals more choice for the consumer, and choice among the consumer is something that I wholeheartedly believe in. So, the next bit of gaming news is PlayStation 4 related. It seems like Sony has taken a page from Microsoft's playbook and has decided to bundle the upcoming PlayStation 4 with a headset. Now, actually, what makes this bundle even better is that it also comes with an HDMI cable, which consoles traditionally haven't come with in this past generation, normally just with the component cables. So this console headset looks to be the bare minimum in terms of an actual headset. Anyone who is actually serious about the quality of their sound, their gameplay, the communication of their gameplay experience, especially with their friends, will definitely go and buy a third-party headset. And in truth, not everybody can do that, so it's definitely nice to see that Sony's doing what they can to deepen their overall gaming experience for their upcoming players. The PS3 didn't come with a headset at all, and it was seen as a major failing on Sony's part to make the experience a lot better on the PS3. Across the board, it's pretty much a major consensus that the 360 has a better social experience with your friends. It's certainly a lot easier than on the PS3 to be able to hook up with your friends and play games together. It's really a pain in the ass on the PS3, to be honest. It's even easier on PC than it is on PS3 with the different programs that are available on the PC. So it's actually nice to see Sony kind of correcting some of the past mistakes that that really hurt them with the PlayStation 3 and make the PlayStation 4 a much better and deeper gaming experience. And speaking of the next-gen consoles, the next story up on the wire is that a Microsoft executive has stated that the PS4 specs don't really matter, and that the overall gaming experience will be better on the Xbox One. Now, I know this sounds like flame bait material, and it pretty much seems like it is, but there is a right and wrong to this that kind of needs to be corrected. I don't think the specs matter that much on either console myself, but I think the gaming itself will be a lot closer to being the same on either console. What will make either console stand out will be the non-gaming experiences and the non-gaming features. I know the PS4 fanboys keep bringing up the tech specs of the PS4 with the GDDR5 memory in it, but a lot of them don't even know what that means because of things like memory bandwidth and latency aren't being taken into account. I mentioned this to PS4 fans and they don't even know what either latency or memory bandwidth are. So the CPU of any system needs less latency than it does bandwidth. That's why we use DDR3 and the upcoming DDR4 for system memory for the CPU. GDDR5 memory actually sacrifices latency for more bandwidth. That's why it's used for GPUs and discrete graphics card setups on the PC. So the PS4 CPU looks like it could have some bottleneck issues with the upcoming release of the PS4. With both consoles actually being a unified system as they are, I can see developers having to sacrifice certain features like, say, frame rates to increase graphical fidelity, but a lot of that's on the part of the developers, and we all know that the laziness among developers, especially for the console side, is really what's holding back the gaming experience across the board. Consoles to an extent, but I think the biggest problem in gaming right now is lazy developers. But overall, that's why with a gaming PC, it's best to have a dedicated graphics card setup so you don't have a hardware bottleneck with either the GPU or the CPU, which is something I can definitely see happening sometime on maybe the PS4. It's certainly an underpowered CPU. I personally believe that the PS4 and the Xbox will be pretty damn close to each other in terms of gameplay. Probably closer to each other than even the PS3 and 360 were. With the whole memory and memory bandwidth and latency not being taken into account, a lot of people don't realize just how good maybe the Xbox will be, or just how good maybe the PS4 will be. It's certainly something that we're going to have to look for down the line. I don't think that the memory bandwidth for the GDDR5 memory is going to be all that great. I think it's probably going to be 128-bit, which is not great. You know, most graphics cards and PCs are running at 256, and the newest ones now 384, and it's only going to go up. So certainly latency issues are going to be a problem with maybe the CPU and the GPU, but I really hope that developers can find ways around that and get creative, despite the developer laziness might be a huge issue plaguing the gaming industry right now. And well, that's pretty much going to do it for this week's round of gaming news. I do want to talk about the consoles just for a second. Next week I am going to start the Battlefield 3 My Thoughts. I'm going to do a used game segment on one episode, then I'm going to have 3 episodes after that, one on Sony, one on Microsoft, and yes, even one on Nintendo. I'm going to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly of all 4 topics. I certainly think it's something that needs to be talked about that hasn't been talked about. All 3 companies are actually in trouble, and for different reasons, and it'd be interesting to see if all 3 companies can pull themselves out of the hole they've dug for themselves. I certainly don't want to see any of them die. They've given us great gameplay experiences in the past, and it would be bad. Well, that's going to do it for this video. Be sure to stay tuned for tomorrow's episode of Battlefield 3 My Favorite Maps. It will be Conquest Small, and there might be a little surprise with it. You'll just have to stay tuned and see. Well, guys, I thank you for watching the video, and as always, thank you for supporting me, and take care.